what to do after you build your tower. I mean, there's a lot of new people buying computers right now. We've talked about the fact that the market is being disrupted, so if you were waiting that you would be happy with building a PC that's available to you now, you might want to do that because who knows what availability may be like in the future. But we're going to kind of build upon that now after showing you how to get your Windows up and updated and get your drivers installed and all that. We're now going to talk. If you're a power user, you've been using computers for quite a while, it might vary from ours. So do me a favor, if our 5 don't match your 5, put in a comment down below what your 5 most necessity. You will not check again until, well, it's funny, it says 311. Is that 72? So I guess it is not that. But check it. Click. Now it won't check again until April. So that's all right. What we can do is we can change a couple things. With advanced options, make sure that receive updates or other Microsoft products when you update Windows is off. Download updates on metered connections, extra charges apply. They're referring to your ISP, obviously. Make sure that is off. So what we just did now is we told Windows whether or not it can download when it's on a metered connection. But it still is note for free, actually. That was another prerequisite for this video. They had to be free. Because one, this is not a sponsored video, and two, we don't want to, we want people to be able to use this software, have it be beneficial to them, and cost nothing, which is obviously hard to make free. So GPU-Z is just that. It is a piece of software that will tell you everything about your graphics card. It will tell you its BIOS version, it'll tell you when the card came out, it'll tell you how many doodads and diodes and diaces. Actually, that's a church thing, right? Whatever. But as you can see right here, your GPU clock. This will tell you your base clock, your memory clock, and then your boost clock. So if you were just kind of curious, and then if you hover over it, even tells you what it is. So if you're curious as to where your card would max out in terms of like on its own, that is what it's shooting for. But if you go up here to advanced, that's a pretty neat tab because it will tell you everything. It'll tell you your current power limit, your minimum and your maximum. So it'll tell you without even opening up another piece of software how far you could potentially overclock your card in terms of power draw. Where is it going to throttle? You can see right here, it's currently set to throttle at 83C, and its minimum temp, 65C. What does that mean? Well, that basically means that is the temperature that it's going to immediately target. The fan curve is going to allow it to get to 65C with its current fan setting. So this is all in the BIOS, by the way. So if you do go and adjust this stuff in another piece of software, these figures are not going to change. This is specific to what the BIOS is saying minimums and maximums are allowed. So you can see default is 83, maximum is 88. 88C is how far we can push the temperature in another piece of software we'll talk about in a second before those same throttle limits would start to apply. Same thing with its adjustment range. You can see that in a percentage, minus 22% to plus 6% on temperature. But obviously at the bottom it'll show you what graphics card you have currently installed. If you have more than one graphics card or SLI, it'll show you that. So you can see we currently have a 2070 Super installed, and this is all the information that corresponds with that. This is also a piece of software that's very useful at trying to validate a graphics card. If you have no clue as to what it is, there's no marking on it or anything, plop it in your system, install GPU-Z, and it will tell you exactly what the die is reporting back. The BIOS can be a lie. We've talked about this. We've showed this. We've talked specifically about how you can pull a 5700 into being a fake 5700 XT, and the BIOS will reflect that. However, GPU-Z doesn't lie because it actually talks to the core, and the core talks back and says, this is how many of this I have, and you can identify it. But we obviously want to talk about temperature monitoring and stuff like that. So that's where we use this piece of software called HW Monitor, or hardware monitor. It's free from CPU ID, and it will tell you a lot of things going on with your system. So you can see we've got it right here. Now, if we just kind of start from top to bottom, it'll tell you what motherboard you have, because that's obviously recording. So this is an Asus Tech, or Asus Tech is actually the corporate name. Computer Inc. ROG, if we speak that over, ROG Strix Z390i Gaming. We can even see our current voltages, our mins and our max. So it'll tell you what current is, minimum and maximum from the time that the software is open. If we scroll down here, you can see our temperatures. Mainboard temperature. Your chipset has a temperature involved with it. It is an ASIC, so it'll report back temperature. Your CPU, obviously that's your CPU package. And then temp in 2, temp in 3, 5, and 6. Those are different temperature sensors on the board. Some motherboards have additional sensors that you can plug in and wire that sensor to somewhere else so you can monitor things. You can even take it to a different part of your GPU or whatever. So those are the different temperature probes that are available there. But you can see right here our fan. CPU fan is currently running at 922 RPM. You can see it's ran all the way up to 1011. And our chassis number 4 fan at 3868, that's actually our AIO pump, because that's plugged into the motherboard, recording back in RPM. That way we can get an alarm or know if our pump stopped running. So we can even see here memory utilization. But the cool stuff, and I think the stuff people are going to care about most, is going to be core speed and core temperature. So as you can see, the package, that's the actual socket. The socket reports the temperature, and then each core individually reports the temperature too. And what you'll typically find is that the cores will often be hotter than the package in terms of its maximum temperatures. At least with Intel. Sometimes with AMD, they pretty much just match across the board. But this will allow you while you're doing your different gaming sessions and while you're doing your benchmarking and stuff. It's a piece of software that you can have open, monitoring those temperatures and those voltages. So scrolling down here, you can see obviously your core speeds. And as you can see, we are locked to 5 gigahertz because of the previous testing we did for this particular case. And this is how we can also check to see, are we throttling? Are we, if this is how we knew that we had to kind of go in and tweak this motherboard a little bit because of its early power savings and its power limit capabilities of this. So ITX motherboards tend to hit a power limit much sooner than ATX motherboards. So we knew that we were hitting that because we would only get about 10 seconds of full speed and it would drop down. We knew that because we were monitoring using a hardware monitor, so that way we can kind of get that. In fact, I need to rewind for a second here too, because in GPU-Z, one thing I forgot to show you is that that also has a sensors tab that you can use to compare to hardware monitor if you want. So click sensors, you can see it'll show you the very same things. So it has a graph that will kind of work from right to left. You can see fan speed, fan percentage, RPM, temperatures, but more importantly, it will actually give you a reason for throttling. So if we were under load right now, it would tell us the reason why we're throttling under perf cap reason, or performance cap reason. So right now, it's performance cap because we're idle. It says idle. We know we're idle. We're not doing anything right now. But if we saw power or voltage or whatever, it would tell us. And then you would know, okay, my card's not going any faster, and this is why. I get emails all the time from people saying, Jay, my graphics card is not going to 99% usage. Why? Well, if you had GPU-Z, it would tell you why. Because if you didn't see any of the reasons being listed here, then you could actually then start monitoring your CPU. If your CPU percentage was really high and your GPU percentage is low, CPU bottleneck. So you could start using these free pieces of software to figure out what's going on with your system just by looking at the charts and seeing the actual reasons. Now, we talked about doing temperature testing and overclocking and all that sort of stuff. So, Jay, how do I do that? Well, the most common thing people see